Pretty sure it's working. Let's go.
And here we go. We have liftoff.
Propulsion continues to be nominal.
R68 chamber pressure looks good.
Rolling up. Roger, roll, Atlantic.
Water towers fly! Yes!
Tango down to nominal.
Flight downside SPD off. Bring in SPD off. Off. It's orange!
R25! Oh my god! Oh my god!
Decollage.
What is it?
Put that in the big bag, Eagle.
343 unfolds to go.
Indeed.
We rise together, back to the moon and beyond.
This methane will be igniting in the flare, correct?
Yikes. You good? Sure. We don't need any more of these.
That's new. It apparently tried to change the scene for me automatically. Huh. Well, apparently I don't know the drill today, y'all. You know the drill. Let us know in chat whether or not you can hear me, John Galloway for NASA Spaceflight here. Can you see the rocket out there on the pad today going out of LC-39A at the Cape in just over 40 minutes? We just ticked past 41 minutes for CRS-28 commercial resupply mission going up to the International SpaceX, courtesy the International SpaceX? International Space Station, courtesy of SpaceX, was supposed to go a little bit later in the sentence. It looks like y'all can hear us just fine. Looks like the camera feeds are working. Treats today. We have all sorts of camera feeds, including stuff coming off the official NASA cameras. I think I got cameras on the VAB and cameras on the gantry and stuff today. So it looks like everything is working correctly, and let's get along with the stream. Who do I have with me helping me today? Ah, yes. In the back channel. EJ, are you here on comms? Tell me you're on comms, buddy.
Oh, I'm here, man. I'm here. I'm ready for a rocket launch. I got my coffee. I'm good to go.
I think the bigger question is, are you awake and good to go with your coffee? Like, have you completed caffeine loading?
No. Prop loading needs to be done now. Just give me a second.
Nice. Did I just hear like a slurp?
No. Yeah, maybe. Yeah. Yeah, you did.
All right, folks, that is Mr. EJ over from Twitch, longtime buddy. If you haven't heard his voice before on our streams, hope we're hearing him more often. And if you're watching over on Twitch, greetings, Twitch. Also,
Sup, chat?
yeah, sup, chat, nice. Also with us today, we have Mr. Sawyer Rosenstein. Sawyer, we got you on?
I hope you got me on, because we've got... I love these CRS missions personally, just because of science, and if you don't have She Blinded Me with science stuck in your head now, you do.
Am I counting that as the first 30 minutes?
That's not a pun.
Oh, jeez. Reference?
Why
That's
would
just
you do
being
this?
mean.
Why would you do this?
Oh, good grief. Anyways, that's going to be the crew. Of course, we have Mr. Max Evans out in the field today, providing us a remote camera in addition to all the cameras that we're getting from NASA and all the cameras we have permanently as part of Space Coast Live. But let's keep on going here. Sawyer, tell the space station what they've won on today's mission.
Well, the International Space Station, you have won a delivery of a SpaceX Cargo Dragon capsule that will help resupply the International Space Station. This is the 28th resupply mission in cooperation with NASA and SpaceX specifically. They will be getting, I believe the numbers are, a lot of supplies. Here we go. They will be getting approximately 3,300 kilograms of cargo, including crew supplies, science investigations, upgrades for their spacesuits for spacewalks, things to help with the vehicle, computer resources, and yeah, some of those things are amazing experiments, which I do want to talk about in a little bit, but sometimes it's just the basic things like, you know, fresh fruits and vegetables, and parts to fix the water purification system that turns urine into drinkable water.
Nice. Excellent. So as always, folks, we're doing this live. If you've got questions about the mission, unless they're about how you turn urine into drinkable water, copy paste this in chat. I don't even know what I'm saying this morning, y'all.
Science. That's how you do it. Science.
Nice.
Yep.
Tag us in chat at NASA Spaceflight. If you're over on Twitch too, you know how to get in touch on Twitch. We're going to be trying to answer questions from both places, doing a much better job than I normally do when it's myself. But how we looking with questions here getting started? Sawyer, we got some questions?
Starting to get some loaded in right now. Yeah.
All right. Well, in the meantime, I can give you another bit of an update. Over here on my back deck, we actually have 2 new bluebird eggs in the nest.
Sweet.
No, tweet, not sweet.
It is
Oh,
tweet.
yeah,
Nice,
yeah,
thanks.
yeah, that
I'll
too.
allow that one. It's bluebird. It's a bluebird related. But a lot of our live stream technology is tested out on my back deck, and you can see live from the backyard Mama Bluebird settling in on 2 eggs. There's actually a live stream of that happening, but I won't promote it here. So, anyways, back to rockets.
All right.
How are we doing on questions?
We got a few. One of the it's not so much a science experiment, but there is something additional that is being carried on board the Dragon's trunk. And that is Cooper asking, are there more iRosa panels flying today? First off, no, iSawyer, not iRosa. Second off, EJ, do you want to help kind of explain what these solar panels are and how they compare to what's been on the space station since it basically first went up there?
So you want to know about the rollout solar arrays, huh? The
Yeah.
International Space Station rollout solar arrays?
Almost like that's the acronym for it, yeah.
Yeah, those things. Those things are pretty cool. So they're upgraded solar panels for the ISS. The ISS solar panels that were currently on it were, for all intents and purposes, designed in the late 80s for the Space Station Freedom Project. I mean, they're good. They do work. But the iRosa solar panels are a little bit better. They generate significantly more power than the ones that are up there right now, and they're actually smaller, like way smaller, and they generate way more power. Solar panel technology has gotten kind of a little better over the last 20 years, I'd say. 30 years, something like that. So these rollout solar arrays are carried up in Cargo Dragon's trunk, and they're installed up there during EVA missions.
Exactly. And I believe in the end there will be 8 iRosa solar arrays up there, just providing that extra power. And yet, like you mentioned, a lot of people forget a lot of this hardware was from something called Space Station Freedom, which was the US's original plan to have their own station until they realized, we kind of need some partners on this, and they ended up creating the ISS that we have now. And along those lines, we actually have a question from Elon John asking, how does cargo get from the unpressurized trunk into the ISS? Well, that's a good point, because the iRosas are in the trunk, and that is unpressurized. So that will typically be the station's robotic arm will be able to go and grab those, or worst comes to worst, there are astronauts that can go out on a spacewalk and get those. Because it is important to note, there is that trunk which is unpressurized, then you have the inside of the vehicle which is pressurized. That's the one where you'll see the crew going inside. That's where they will bring all the experiments in on board the station. That's where they will load anything that needs to be brought back down to Earth for research. So it's kind of a 2-part vehicle in that way in terms of what it can carry.
I mean, it's a lot like the space shuttle with pressurized and unpressurized segments. I'm just putting it out there.
Yes. All right.
Also, shuttle reigns supreme.
I think I can actually illustrate that real quick with this little graphic, right? And you're talking about, people are like, what do you mean there's unpressurized, there's pressurized, right? On the space shuttle, it was the huge cargo bay and then the crew compartment, like the front part of the space shuttle where the astronauts are doing flips and making tortilla sandwiches or whatever. And then the back part where they'd have, whatever cargo they were taking to space. And the Dragon doesn't look anything like a space shuttle, but it has the same sort of thing. Up in the front of it, they've got the pressurized section, right, where you take your science experiments that need to be protected from the harsh realities of space or whatever. And then in the back part of it, they have the trunk. And if you look at this is literally like a hollow sort of place in the back where they can put things. But I think a lot of people don't understand. They look at it and they're like, oh, is it just the capsule? Like, what's the entire spacecraft? And this entire thing you see on the screen is the pressurized part and the unpressurized part. You can even see the amounts there. So how's that? good drawing to start off here?
The demonstration is key.
Yeah.
Yes,
How's
DOS
that?
art has made
Nice.
its return. Yay.
Okay.
All right, I do want to thank a few people here, including some that left their support before we were even able to start streaming yesterday. Carol, thank you for becoming a Padrat member. Crutch, thank you for becoming a Padrat member. John Garner as well. Uh, Fritz, thank you for becoming Padrat member. Vanver, thank you for becoming a Red Team. We have already some amazingly generous support here from Jim Braun with a $50 super chat saying, "Love rocket nerds," which, wow, thank you. It's
Yeah.
because of that support that us rocket nerds can help bring you, well, more rockets.
Yeah, we like rockets here. Yep. I think that's
Now,
safe to say.
yeah, we really appreciate it. Now, Musical Wolves with a really good question and something that will combine a few questions here into one. So, Musical Wolves asking, does Cargo Dragon weigh more, or why could Axiom be RTLS, return to launch site and land on land, but this one will be landing on a barge? And that also goes on to some other questions, such as one from Michael Gebb saying, are they using the stubby nozzle on this mission? And for that, we're
Ugh.
talking about
Ugh.
Stage 2. What's
No.
the ugh?
No. Stubby nozzle is weird. I don't like it. I don't like change.
Well, for those who are unaware, there are now two variants of the MVAC, the Merlin vacuum engine. The one that we've seen and grown to love and know. And now they have created one that is a little bit smaller. It is slightly cheaper to make, and most importantly to SpaceX, it is quicker to make. So, for certain missions where they don't need all of that extra oomph that the regular MVAC gives, they can use these sort of smaller, I guess, stubbier looking second stage MVACs to just help trying to get them to reach their goal of 100 launches a year and keep up launch cadence, because second stages tends to be the biggest backup, if anything, when it comes to uh, getting the flight cadence up. Did I explain that well?
I think you did just fine. I mean,
Sounds good to me.
they're doing it because they want to make the nozzles for a little bit of a less. They want to make them less expensive for the most part. So you could do that by literally cutting a piece of the nozzle off. There is a trade-off because it is engineering. There is a trade-off. There always is, and you're never going to win, and the points don't matter. The trade-off is that you're going to get a little bit less efficient with that nozzle on there. Your expansion ratio changes on the second stage motor, so you're going to take a specific impulse hit there. So it's a little bit less efficient, but if it's going to get the job done for low performance missions, then you can save a bit of cash there because that nozzle is made out of some pretty exotic stuff from what I understand.
And that's one of the few parts that they don't actually reuse, right?
That's correct.
So minimizing the waste, because the stage 2 is either going to end up in a graveyard orbit or it's going to end up deorbited in a controlled manner, right? And
Yep.
so why spend extra money? Why put extra material on the nozzle if it's going to do its job and then end up in the drink? Or, and
Mhm.
do we know today where for a CRS resupply mission, where does the stage 2 end up after the spacecraft is on its way? Deorbited or graveyard orbit?
Those will be deorbited. I believe
Yep.
that is expected off the coast of South Africa.
Nice. Well, there you go.
I do want to point out that we are starting to see what appears to be frost around the Falcon, which means that propellant loading should
Yep.
be underway. That is, again, the Falcons use RP1, which is a rocket grade type of kerosene, and then the oxidizer that they use is liquid oxygen. So the
Mhm.
RP1 is being loaded into the rocket, and the LOX will be loaded into the first stage as of right now.
Excellent. And you could ask too, like I have so many cameras today. If you would like a view of the frost on the rocket, just be like, yo, Dust, get a view of the frost on the rocket. Because we do have these fantastic pad cameras and engineering feeds that I'm like a kid in a candy store today, switching between all these things. So Hey, real quick, let's say thanks to a couple people, Jay Ammons. I don't know if your name's Jammons or Jay Ammons or Jay Ammons or anything, but thanks for becoming a Red Team member. We also got 10 gifted memberships from Nerd. What's up, Nerd? How you doing? Thank you for the support there, spreading the love around. We've got Taylor Van Camp with a super chat saying, "Cargo? No, Cargo Road." What?
Ah,
But this is a cargo ship.
There's supposed to be another word after it, isn't there?
Surely you can't be serious.
No, just don't
I
call me
am
Shirley.
serious, and don't call me Shirley.
We will rocket you. Gifted 5 Red Team memberships here. Again, that's the thing. If you're already a member of the channel, you already have access to the behind-the-scenes content and that sort of stuff that we put out on our Discord and stuff. You can actually gift other people memberships. If you get a gifted thing, say thank you in the chat. I wonder if this isn't somebody we know. It's just from Brienne, and it says they've become a Red Team member.
Oh no.
Oh, no.
Oh,
I
wonder
gotta-
who that could be.
I gotta go. I'll see you later.
I think they know what you're up to. She knows what you're up to today, EJ.
Yeah, I know.
Anyways, folks, thank you so much for the support. We don't make our streams all about just saying, oh, super chats over and over again. That would get a little yikes. But we do like to say thanks to the folks who make us able to continue bringing you coverage. Let's get some more questions and stuff here. How's that sound?
Sounds good to me. I've got a great one here from Second Stage Anomaly that's a really good question saying, why don't they use cargo dragons for crew missions or vice versa? And the answer is they technically can and kind of are. It's sometimes a little bit more of a pain to swap out the seats and the special refrigeration units and the bio waste units on the crew ones, things like that. But they're basically built the same, right?
The capsules, Sawyer?
Yeah, the Dragon 2 capsules.
Yeah, it's the same pressure vessel, but the cargo dragon capsules don't have the launch escape system on them. And I'm pretty sure they do that so they can carry more cargo, because I don't think you need that when there's no humans on board.
Yep, that is true. And
Yep.
that goes along with the question here from Agrafa asking, does the Dragon capsule have its own propulsion? So
Yep.
just for update of the timeline, so once the first stage finishes its burn, the second stage will push the Dragon into orbit, and then it will separate away from that second stage and then fly its way to the International Space Station and autonomously dock. So what is that propulsion system, EJ?
So, in lieu of the Super Dracos that are used for the launch escape system, Dragon 2 is carrying the Cargo Dragon 2 and Crew Dragon 2 for that matter. They're carrying Draco motors. They're monomethyl hydrazine and nitrogen tetroxide. They're hypergolic engines. They're little tiny rocket motors that basically have 2 fuel injectors in them, and when the propellants touch each other, they explode. The propulsion systems on Dragon are integrated into it. What I like to tell people is that Dragon 2, Cargo, and Crew, they basically carry the service module around with them. That's why Dragon has that kind of oblong shape compared to other capsules, which is more like a perfect cone, I guess. Those Super Draco thrusters basically serve as the reaction control system, and because Dragon is not going any further than low Earth orbit, they're used for on-orbit maneuvers as well. Fun fact, if you want to have some fun here, the Draco thrusters that are used for moving Dragon, like pushing it further in space and deorbiting it, are actually on the front. When the nose cone opens, there's 4 Draco thrusters up in the front, and Dragon actually flies, quote-unquote, backwards. It flies heat shield first when it's around on orbit, which is, I always thought that was a little interesting. And for the propulsion nerds in here, I mean, trying to get the propellant to flow up the capsule to thrusters that are forward is actually a little bit of an engineering challenge for the people that don't know much about hypergolic systems, the pressurized hypergolic systems. That getting the prop to flow up, like to the front of the capsule, is actually a little more challenging than you might think. It's actually pretty cool.
Yeah, it's strange, but when you hear the logic, it's like, oh, that makes sense.
Yep.
Nice.
Um,
Hey, real quick, we always get this question coming through. Which way the rocket's going today? So
Yep.
it actually, because it's trying to rendezvous with the International Space Station, needs to follow a track that the space station would actually go on. And you can look at the trajectory map. Coming right, look at that. It almost comes right from where it says Falcon 9 LC-39A. The cape is down there in the lower left-hand corner, and it's going to be taking a northeast trajectory up the coast of the United States. The yellow box you see in the upper right-hand corner is I guess the middle of the screen, but the right-hand corner of the map. That is actually the landing zone, and the red dot out there, if I'm reading it right, yeah, that red dot looks like that should be where the drone ship is.
Yes,
How
that
far
is a
downrange?
shortfall. That is a shortfall of gravitas, which is currently located, and I know chat's gonna love this one.
Oh boy,
666 kilometers offshore.
Yeah.
nice. Throw up the
that's-
horns.
Can we just say 665 or something?
665.9. How's that?
Yeah, there you go. That's fine. That's fine.
EJ, if the rocket's landing at 666 and your drone ship is at 665.9, gonna have a bad day. I think it's estimated, right?
It'll be fine.
Nice.
The wind will blow it or something.
I don't know the conditions all the way up the eastern coast of Florida. You got South Carolina, the Outer Banks of North Carolina up there as well. It's tough in this sort of situation to see things when you don't have like the jellyfish situation, right? And you might not be able to see it. It's not a night launch. During the day, you got the haze and the sun and all that sort of stuff that makes it way difficult to see these things. But if you are out there somewhere on the coast of the southeastern United States, maybe give it a look. Maybe there'll be a little bit of a plume or something behind it. Maybe you can actually catch the landing burn or the entry burns. If you know the right direction to look, if it's clear, you don't have clouds, you can almost always see those. Let's see how the fueling's going, shall we?
Yes, we should be coming up on a pretty big milestone here as we reach the T-minus 21 minute mark, and that is the famous T-minus 20 minute vent. That is the indication that they will be preparing the lines on the TE for loading LOX, or Loxygen, as I like to jokingly call it now,
Oh dear.
into the second stage. Because right now, the first stage gets its LOX load first, then the lines purge, and then LOX load goes into the second stage. That I believe would also mean that RP1 load up there is progressing too.
Yep. Basically, what they try to do is time the first and second stage fueling to be topped off at basically right before they launch. So
Yep.
there's your vent right there.
Look at that. As
Now-
anticipated.
Yep. Now, Sawyer, do you know why they would chill down the vent?
What do you mean?
So they're flowing semi-cryogenic propellants, right? You'd want to chill down that vent because you don't want to geyser the liquid oxygen.
Right, exactly.
Yep,
Yeah,
yep.
that could be bad.
Yeah. So basically, what they try to do is thermally condition the lines here. You're using propellants that are not cold and one propellant that is really, really cold. The oxidizer is freezing. So don't lick it. So basically, what they try to do, what they're doing here is they're chilling down that line going up to the second stage for the liquid oxygen. Because if you just tried to flow that liquid oxygen right into the second stage, it would evaporate going up the pipe because the pipe's warm because it's warm in Florida. I mean, Sawyer, you tell us about it, right? Like,
No, and humid, yeah.
yeah, it's a little warm. So you want to make sure that line is primed and full of actual liquid oxidizer and not gaseous oxidizer, which is why we see that vent right there. Also,
Exactly.
oxygen.
Yes. And,
Also,
you know,
Loxygen.
some of it will, of course, burn off because, like you mentioned, it's just sitting out in the Florida humidity. So that's why
Yep.
they keep loading it with propellants till pretty much as late as possible and
Yep.
go into like a top-off mode, for
That's right.
lack of a better way to put it.
It's
Nice.
just like the slow film modes on the shuttle.
Second
yes.
shuttle reference, nice.
I'm not gonna stop, Chad. I'm sorry. You're stuck with me.
Yeah. Hey, also, folks, remember, some people look at this and they're like, oh no, it's leaking. This is a problem. The T-minus 20 minute vent that we're seeing right now means that everything is happening as anticipated. That is an intentional vent. They're clearing out and chilling down these lines. And we always, T-minus 20 minutes and change, like a little bit more than 20, we expect to see this because that means that they are continuing on towards their launch. It's not a problem with the rocket. It's intentional.
That's what I'm going to call it always now if I make a mistake.
Wait, what?
If I do something wrong, it wasn't a mistake. No, it
Oh.
was intentional.
It's intentional.
It's
nice.
an intentional vent.
Happy accidents.
Yes,
Nice.
thank you, Bob. Few quick super chats I want to hit here. Moldy Space, thank you for gifting 5 Red Team memberships. Jim Cavett, thank you for gifting 5 Red Team memberships. Cassius, thank you very much for becoming a Launch Director member, one of the higher memberships that we have, so that is very much appreciated. Don't forget, Capcom and above all get access to our Discord server. And there is a question here from JD Brown, basically asking if the Dragon V1 and V2 capsules were compared to an everyday object, what would their dimensions be? I can give you basically that the dimensions, if you include the trunk and everything, of this current Dragon that's launching today is about 4 by 8 meters in terms of diameter and height. So it can hold a decent amount of stuff, which I think is a good way to transition into this question from Chad asking, are there any notable cargo on CRS-28? And that's totally not an excuse for me to wax poetically about some of the really cool science that will be going up on this mission. So one of the things that they'll be doing that's really cool in cooperation with ESA, the European Space Agency, it's called Thor Davis, and its goal is to look at thunderstorms from the International Space Station, and in particular, discovering specific types of electrical activity, different types of charges, in particular blue discharges, and basically get a better understanding of Earth's atmosphere that could help improve models when it comes to trying to figure out weather and climate. One of the really cool ones that I personally love, because I still have seeds that were flown on previous CRS missions, just personally. And what they decided to do this time is, they've been having their chilies and all the things that they've been growing and the lettuce up on the space station. Well, they took the seeds up, they grew them, brought them back, and now they're sending the seeds up again to see if that makes any change into how they will grow, especially as we go further into long duration space missions, which I just think is really cool. There is, of course, the Genes in Space mission, which is a national contest for students, usually in grades 7 through 12, to help come up with bio experiments that can be done on board the ISS by the actual astronauts involving genealogy. And this one is testing a telomere technique in microgravity, which is something that's typically really difficult to use on Earth. And last but not least, for all the evil people out there, there is a hacking CubeSat. Is one of the many CubeSats that is also on board this. Yes.
Wait, what?
Uh-huh.
What does that mean?
I would
They
like to know more.
Yeah, I would like to know more.
It is called the Moonlighter 3U. So basically, it will be the first, as the company claims, hacking testbed in space. So it'll allow cybersecurity experts to perform tests and try and hack the CubeSat software. That way, they can research tactics to prevent other satellites in the future from getting hacked, to strengthen the hardware, strengthen their software, and help other space assets basically not be taken over by trolls.
Really? Why do they have to put it in space? Why can't they just put a computer in a room somewhere and try to hack that? What is different about hacking stuff in space?
Well, it's constantly moving around, and in this case, it's a small target since it's
okay.
CubeSat. So that way, you've got to test the tracking, the ability from the ground to send the code to actually work on that particular satellite. There's a lot of things that would have to be involved. Not that I've ever thought about this, but
So it's not like the satellite, I don't know, maybe it has a web server on it, but you don't go to www.hackthisatellite.org or something like that. You actually, as it flies over, have to transmit your own radio signals? I wonder if that's how that works.
yeah, it's going to be very interesting. And I did see someone in chat mention that there's going to be a bunch of Canadian CubeSats going up as well. So as they put Go UWO Yukpik 1.
Cool.
All right.
Now, Sawyer, these CubeSats are going to get deployed on Dragon before it gets to the ISS, right?
I don't quote me on that one. I'm not 100% sure.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, because they can throw CubeSats off the side of the ISS, basically, right?
Yeah,
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I don't know if that's what's happening here.
Although most of these will likely be in the trunk.
Yep.
And
Cool.
yeah, there's also nanoracks, which is where a lot of these other things and other personal experiments are coming up. So, yeah, uh, just don't tell anyone that NSF taught you about satellite hacking, and we're good.
I
Nice.
mean, that's probably the best way to do it. I mean, it's like saying, if you want to know something on the internet, all you got to do is say the wrong thing, and they'll tell you the right thing. If you put the CubeSat out there, oh, how do we make this unhackable? Try to hack that. I mean, that's
Nice.
pretty good logic right there.
Oh, good old internet. How are we
Well,
looking on time here?
we are
12
coming up
minutes.
on about 12 minutes. Yep. The next major milestone that we should be seeing will be the engine chill at the base of the Falcon 9 at T minus 7 minutes, which, again, kind of like you were talking about with the lines, you start to pre chill the engine so that way once
Yep.
everything rushes through it, you're not getting that shock on the engines. They're ready to deal with all of that RP1 and LOX.
There you go. Look, our clock is about, 2 seconds ahead of the video feed. I'll take it.
We're in the future.
It takes
Deal with
time
it.
for the video feed to get to us, but they're close enough for me. That's why we removed the clock, because it doesn't always exactly match. So, anyways,
I'd
nice.
say
Good
that's
check.
pretty darn close. Yeah.
It's good enough for government work, like a CRS reply mission. Supply mission.
Hey!
Hey, moving right along.
One thing I
Contracting.
realized is we
Government
haven't
work.
talked at all about the capsule and the booster. Just putting that
Yeah.
out. Should mention that, as you can see from the sootiness, this is a previously flown booster. This is flight number 5 for B1077. It has flown to the has flown a capsule to the International Space Station once with Crew 5. It's also flown GPS-3 SV06, Inmarsat I6F2, and Starlink 5-10. Boy, no simple names with that one.
All right.
And the capsule itself, this will be the 4th flight for this Dragon capsule to the ISS, having previously flown CRS-21, 23, 25, and now 28. And what's really cool is these capsules that have flown multiple times, every time they come back to Earth from the station, they get a sticker of the ISS of their visit. So you can tell how many times each of them has flown because there are certain parts on that capsule where you can look super close and you will see just ISS stickers, and that's for each time that it's launched and landed.
When Dragon Bomber Art, we got the missions. We got to get some like Daffy Duck painted on the side or something.
Nice. Like nose art on a Dragon capsule.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
I'm surprised they don't, on the outside somewhere, like stamp the mission patch or something,
That'd be cool.
I believe they do inside for the crew capsules.
Ah,
Yeah,
okay.
they're on the they put the stickers on the wall next to the pilot's pilot seat, right, Sawyer?
Yes.
Yep.
All right.
So
Cool.
yeah, that's for every time it goes up and comes back. And I know there are certain things that aren't coming back in the NASA spaceflight shop. Right?
Oh, I'm not ready yet, Sawyer. Hang on. Jeez. I'm trying to get the logo set correctly here, and all I get is bluebirds every time I click on this monitor. Hang on. Give me just a second. Jeez.
Fair
What are
warning.
you talking about? Go.
The NASA spaceflight shop does not have bluebirds for sale. Apologies.
I got it. Okay, cool. The logo's good. Go for merch plug.
Yeah, so we've got some awesome stuff on the site. Obviously, the metal prints are some of my favorites here. And some of these are last chance metal prints. So, yes, we have some items as we've been going through the shop that will be disappearing very soon. So, now is your time to get them at shop.nasaspaceflight.com.
I love the booster go around that Pauline took. Of course, this is out at it's out at Long Beach, and the Falcon 9 is not being swung around like this, right? This is actually a Falcon 9 that has been rotated in an artistic sort of manner. Another new thing that we've been adding to the shop, and now I don't actually have the link here, do I? I think I do. Oh yeah, here we go. Cool. Check this out. We've actually started to ask the photographers to give us some stories about the shot. So, not everyone, we're still working on putting it in there, but the shots in the shop actually have a little bit of a blurb. This one's from Brady talking about this massive, like, lightning storm that was caught. What is that? Oh, that's an orange rocket. I'm not supposed to be showing an orange rocket today. Let me get a SpaceX rocket. Hold up. We've actually tried.
Orange rocket, good man.
It is good, but okay, here we go. This is the proper type of rocket, at least. We have some of these little stories about the photographer and the background behind the shot. So maybe head on over to the shop. You can look at some new content if you want to know the story behind some of the metal prints. It's another great way to support what we're doing here. Get something to put on your wall, and you have a little bit of a backstory on what happened when the photographer was actually getting that print made. Taking the shot for that print, I guess is the right way to say it. Anyways, back to the rocket. Coming up on 7 minutes shortly, huh?
Yeah, that will be the engine chill, which I do want to mention because we're talking about all the other rockets. There were some Starship ones in there. A reminder to stick with us after this stream is over, after launch, after the nose cone deploy, because we will have the new Starbase update coming up right after as a premiere. Just wanted to mention that.
All right.
All right, okay, y'all, this was my fault. Sorry. I wanted to show this one off, the metal print. This is one that originally wasn't going to be in the shop, but one of the remote cameras that Max set out there captured a lightning bolt next to the Falcon Heavy mission. And at first it was like, oh, we can't put that in the shop. It's not high resolution enough. So a bunch of people asked for it, and I had them put a disclaimer. It's very dark, grainy, and aesthetic. But that is the one that I actually wanted to show, and I accidentally clicked on the SLS one. The universe sort of steering me towards the orange rocket, I guess. But look at this. The shot that Max captured off a remote camera over there at the Cape, now available in a metal print. Now, I'm going to put that link into chat because the shop guys said that nobody would buy it because it wasn't a good enough print. And so if you want to prove them wrong, again, it's super grainy and aesthetic sort of looking. Like if you have a dark black and white sort of motif to your room, it'll fit right in. But there's the link I just put into chat. And I actually fought for that, and I have one here myself. No more March under 6 minutes. Let's go back to the mission. Sorry about that, y'all.
Thor Davis can study that.
Oh, nice.
All right,
Hey,
while we're
That print's pretty metal, dude.
It is, dude. It's
that wasn't me.
Look at this guy.
That wasn't me.
No,
Nice.
Sawyer, I blame you.
We are
Easy.
getting word, by the way, though, that the first stage RP1 load is complete. Again, RP1, the rocket-grade kerosene that is mixed with the liquid oxygen oxidizer to create flamey end down.
Flamey and down. Nice.
I do want to mention a couple quick things while we have this time, just what we're going to expect to see now coming up. At about T-minus 5 minutes, Dragon will transition to its internal power, right now still getting ground power. So that will take over on board the capsule. And then at T-minus 1 minute, that is when Falcon 9 will enter startup. So that is the flight computer beginning all the final pre-launch checks. And then that is also when the tanks are pressurized up to flight pressures. We should get the go for launch at about T-minus 45 seconds. About 3 seconds before liftoff, we should see a green flash of something called TTEB that will help ignite the engines, leading to a liftoff at T0. And we are now have the confirmation that Draken is in terminal count and internal power.
Nice.
So again, the next one that's different from the rest of the vehicle. So Falcon 9 is not yet fully onboard computers running everything. Just the Dragon.
Looks like somebody was making sure a tracking camera was ready to track there, wildly panning all over. So
There we go. And then also for reference for once we lift off, because once we lift off, we're going to want to let you listen to the engine noise because that's always the best part. The main things that we'll be looking out for in this one should hit max Q about 72 seconds into flight. And then the big fun bunch of sequence of events in rapid succession will be at about 2.5 minutes. That's when the main engines will cut off, or MECO, followed a few seconds later by the first and second stage separating. And then at 2 minutes 41 seconds for the first time, the stubby second stage MPAC engine will ignite.
all right. We are getting down to the count here, folks. 3.5 minutes. Looks like everything's ticking along. We have any weather updates? Any information from the audio stream as to where they are? Are they still good to go?
I haven't heard anything that's no-go on it, so I believe we're continuing.
Okay. Yep. Can you guys believe this is the 38th mission for SpaceX of 2023? Can we believe that?
For 2023.
Just for 2023, 38 missions. It's the 36th Falcon 9 mission because they've launched 2 Falcon Heavies this year. That's All right. Okay. I'm not upset about this.
Yeah, no kidding, right?
That's impressive. Again,
Pretty
they've mentioned their
awesome.
goal.
Yeah.
How many launches a year? We're almost there.
Mhm.
Seems like. Stage 1 LOX load is now officially complete. So it has all of the liquid oxygen on stage 1. Stage 1 also has all of its RP1 brain function. There we go.
Brain function, nice.
I don't even drink coffee, so I can't blame that. We are now approaching the 2-minute mark. Ryan in the back channel with a good point. It is the 38th mission, but it is launching from 39. So
Yeah.
as we look at 39A, with about less than 2 minutes now until the launch of the CRS-28 mission to resupply the International Space Station.
Mm-hmm.
All right, Max, I think you are on comms out there. I'm going to go ahead and start bringing up your microphone. Look at the waterfall coming off the tower there, by the way.
Yep.
That is
And-
part of the deluge system.
Yep.
Yeah.
That says that the tank's ready to go. The water tank's fully filled up. I was about
Yep.
to say it's fully fueled, but that would be bad.
It's filled and basically overfilled intentionally.
Yep.
Look at that. What a shot, y'all.
And then you also get the final vent coming from the TE there as well.
Mm-hmm. Like before, they chilled it down to get the propellant in. That vent is to get the propellants out. Ideally, you want your propellants in the rocket and not in the launch pad when the thing goes to launch.
Yeah.
That'd probably be a good idea.
AJ, you get that thing I sent you?
I did, yeah.
All right, see if you can
I did
have
get
fun
that
with that
thing.
if you want.
Stage 2
Okay.
LOX load, as we saw from that, is complete. It was kind of the indication there with that last vent. And we are under T-1 minute.
Here we
We
go.
should be getting the official word momentarily that Falcon 9 is in startup and that we have the go for launch. All right, Falcon 9 is in startup. Tanks pressurized up to flight pressures. And we are just waiting for that final go as we approach 30 seconds. And there it is. We are go for liftoff.
Excellent. So here we go, folks. It's a Falcon 9. It's LC-39A out of the Cape. Actually, out of the Cape, not the Space Force Station. 20 seconds to go. SpaceX sending supplies up to the International Space Station. Let's see if we get a liftoff here.
Yep, a reminder, T-3 seconds. Keep an eye for a little green flash at the bottom of the rocket. And that followed shortly by liftoff.
Sound suppressor is on.
And we have liftoff, CRS-28, bringing more science to the International Space Station and more knowledge back to us on Earth.
Okay. Looks like good clear from the tower there.
And here comes the sound.
Oh yeah. Beautiful.
Look at that.
They should be getting a call for power telemetry here in a second. And then vehicle should go supersonic and then into maximum dynamic pressure.
Coming up on max Q. It has passed through max Q. Again, maximum aerodynamic pressure is pushing down on the vehicle. Basically, the hardest forces it's got to fly through. And
What I
as
like
it
to say, sorry. What I like to
No,
say
it's-
is that the rocket can't move the air out of the way fast enough, so they throttle those engines into a throttle bucket. The reason why they call it a throttle bucket is because if you look at the telemetry, the throttle goes down and then it goes right back up. It looks like a bucket on the telemetry.
And I love this part here because now it's getting into the thinner part of the atmosphere,
Oh,
and you
yeah.
can really distinctly see the 9 Merlin 1D engines on it as it spreads out. That is not any changes to do with the engines, that is all to do with the atmosphere.
Yeah, look at that.
Beautiful.
And we're at T+2 minutes, so that means we're 30 seconds away from those rapid succession events, which is MECO main engine cutoff 1, Stage 1 and Stage 2 separation, and then second stage engine startup, or SES. And a reminder, this will be the first flight of the new, slightly stubbier Merlin vacuum engine as well.
On a Dragon mission.
Yes,
Yeah.
correct,
Oh,
on
dude, look
Dragon
at
mission.
it. Oh my
That's what I meant,
goodness.
sorry.
It's so strange. It's so weird looking.
The stubby engine bell.
There we go. There's the
Yep.
separation.
And it looks like we have second engine start.
God, that looks like something out of Kerbal. That's like
looks-
the old poodle.
It looks like the poodle engine.
It kind of does.
Yeah, that was a great motor, though. I mean, to be honest.
Yeah.
So now on the on the
Look
left
at
side of
the-
your screen, just really quickly, just to point out what's going on, it is doing its maneuver so that it will be able to line itself up for its landing on the drone ship. That is, of course, with burns in between. So you see those grid fins deploy. That will help steer it once it's within the atmosphere. And then the landing bird should be coming up at about T plus 6 minutes, so about 3 minutes from now, before finally landing just about 8 minutes after taking off. Now, back to stubby nozzle. Yes, I should correct. I should have included the word dragon. It's the third time that we've seen stubby engine fly. We really need to come up with a better name for this alternate MVAC.
Optimized, like not optimized for efficiency or thrust, but optimized for cost and manufacturing time, I guess. Huh? Look how dirty it looks.
It's very
Wow.
It's gonna take a second to get used to that. You know?
Yep.
So
That is just a weird. Go ahead, EJ.
yeah,
God.
no, dude, you are not wrong. It is very weird. SpaceX is using that cut down nozzle to save on materials. It's actually a little bit less expensive to make less nozzle. I know, brainwave right there.
Yeah, right.
So they're using it when the extra performance isn't needed. I mean, they say that's what they say on the casts, but the reality of the situation is that you're gonna get similar thrust out of that thing as with a larger nozzle. I mean, you might get a little bit more thrust with a larger nozzle, but you're really taking an efficiency hit on the specific impulse right there.
Yeah.
Because you're up in the vacuum, a larger nozzle will help you move the propellants more in a certain direction. I mean, this is like the plain English way of saying it, but with that smaller nozzle, it's kind of like if you put your thumb over a garden hose, because the ambient pressure is so low, they're in vacuum, the propellants basically go everywhere. So if you have a longer nozzle, you can basically push the gases in one direction easier. That smaller nozzle they're taking a huge efficiency hit there.
If I could jump in one quick second, the first stage has reached apogee, the highest point of its trajectory. So if you look at the numbers in the bottom left by the NSF logo there, it was slowing down and climbing. Now it is speeding up, and the altitude will begin to decrease. You will see that speed pick up a lot. Don't worry, because in just about a minute and 15 seconds, we should see the first stage entry burn, where the rocket basically uses its own engines flying through the fire to slow itself down.
My favorite part.
Yeah.
Sorry, I just wanted to mention that coming up.
That view of the little puffy clouds out over the ocean there sort of going by. That's just a crazy. We'll see if we get it back here in a second, but it's just a cool view.
Yeah, it does not get old. And meanwhile, the telemetry is still looking good on the right side, which is the second stage. Numbers going up equals good in this case.
The stubby engine bell looks so weird that I think the camera aspect ratio is wrong. It feels like it's like squished or something, but it's just the way that it's built.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's going to take some getting used to, and the fact that not every mission will have this either. It's only certain missions.
Mm-hmm.
So, folks, continuing on here on the right-hand side, like we're talking about, that is the stubby engine, the stubby nozzle. It's an optimized nozzle. Go ahead.
Stand by for burn, by the way, on the left side of your screen.
Side. Yep, on the left-hand side.
Any second.
Is the Falcon 9 booster actually coming back down towards the drone ship over 650 kilometers downrange. And you can see the grid fins and the little puffy clouds over there. But that's what's going on the stream. And we should see that entry burn. Like Sawyer was saying, the supersonic retro propulsion helps slow down the rocket and aim it. There you go.
There it is.
So
Now, this burn lasts for about 20 seconds.
Yeah. One of my favorite parts about this burn and I'm not exactly sure why SpaceX never says this, but Falcon 9's not only slowing down there, but what it's doing is actually using the exhaust gases from the Merlin engine as basically a thermal barrier to the entry heating that's going to happen on the first stage when it's coming back down.
Yep.
It's actually the heat shield. They're not fighting fire with fire, they're fighting plasma with fire.
God.
It's the best part.
And that's also the reason why the boosters come back so sooty, is that kerosene is carbon-based, so as it's flying through its own soot, it's just going to build up on the rocket, and SpaceX has said, let's not clean it. Looks cool.
Falcon
Also
9 rolls coal, man.
Yeah.
It almost looks like there's a little black plume behind it. Look at the booster flying.
Yep, we should have the landing bird beginning within the next 10 seconds or so. And keep in mind, while that's happening, we should also have second engine cutoff, SECO 1, on the right side of your screen, both happening simultaneously. So we'll watch for both.
The clouds really do give you a sense of when the rocket is turning, like when it's pitching and yawing and the grid fin's moving a little bit. Look at that grid fin, almost looks like it's shaking a little bit, right?
Yeah, that's the pressure, the aerodynamic pressure building up on the front side of that grid fin. It's really taking a lot of aero load right now.
Yep.
And Daz, you could actually see the drone ship under the left grid fin.
Look at this.
Yeah.
We've got the landing burn. You can see the fires underneath. You can see.
There's gravitas.
Get me some pixels. The shadow of the booster.
Oh, that shadow is cool.
Oh.
And
the shot from the drone ship.
1077 now gets its -6.
All right.
Wild. It's
Beautiful.
The speed is 0 and the altitude is 0.0 kilometers. I like it.
And based on the numbers I'm seeing there for stage 2, we had that second engine cutoff, and it looks like the numbers are good. We'll wait for the official confirmation as well from SpaceX for nominal orbital insertion. And there it actually is. Thank you, Alex, in the back channel.
All right. This is a view inside the trunk, it looked like, for a second.
That was the trunk. That was one of the 2 IROSas.
Go back to it real quick.
yeah.
Oh, I didn't quite get it fast enough. So.
Yep.
All right.
Again, the next thing will be the separation of the cargo dragon from that second stage. And that should happen in about 3 to 4 minutes from now.
All right. So what's up next? Like, we're getting the separation, but how long is it going to be before they actually get to the International Space Station?
For this particular mission, EJ, do you want to take that one, or do you want me?
I'm actually not 100% sure when this one's going to get up there.
All right, this one is an 18-hour flight, so it should autonomously dock with the ISS June 6th at 5:50 a.m. Eastern, 9:50 UTC.
All right.
So, yeah, that is the plan with that. And there's always a lot of coordination with the ISS, especially because there's keep-out zones that it needs to go through and checks to make sure that when it does dock, it docks slowly and safely and successfully.
Hey, fellas, am I seeing things, or was there like an ISS indicated on the SpaceX map view? Thought I saw something in the top right corner that looked like an ISS icon, but I'm pretty sure that wasn't in the spot where the ISS actually is.
Oh, yeah, there's the little floating ISS there.
Yeah, you see that?
What is that doing up there?
I'm pretty sure that's much too high.
Yeah.
I don't think I've ever noticed that before. Maybe that's
I don't think that's supposed to be there.
When they show it again, no, that doesn't look like it's the current track of the ISS. Like they have one track that's the ISS and one track that's the track of the rocket, but it doesn't look like that. So I thought it might be like a legend or something, right?
By the way, you can see some of those CubeSats in the back there as well.
Oh, yeah.
By the tube.
Huh.
Yeah, there you go. Thanks, SpaceX, for switching the camera back.
Yeah, briefly.
I mean, Sawyer, we were talking about how they get at that the unpressurized cargo. If you look at the top right in that cargo view, you can just see the quote-unquote dinner plate there that they use to grab the latching end effector on the space station remote manipulator. You can see it in the top right corner. it looks like a dinner plate with kind of like a teardrop on it, I guess, if that's the right way to do it. You could just barely see the
Well,
plate.
now you should be able to see it as we have
There you go.
separation.
Yeah.
There it is. The dinner plate. That's what they use to grab the solar panels with the arm.
Yeah, the grapple fixture. It's the little triangular thing on the flat part
Yep.
above the solar arrays there. And
Use the
when we were
claw.
asking earlier how they were going to unload the cargo, that's exactly what EJ is saying. They grab that cargo pallet piece, whatever, with the arm on that little dinner plate, that little attachment, and that is how they unload it.
And the next thing that we'll expect in the next minute or two will be the opening of the nose cone, which not only reveals the docking port, but also a lot of the necessary items for communications with the ground. It reveals some of their thrusters that they'll be using, and also the system that is used to autonomously dock with the ISS needs to be able to see it. So
Yep.
that's a lot of important things inside that nose cone. So that's the last major milestone before it begins its 18-hour cruise to the ISS.
Alex over here saying it looks like the thing in the middle of the pizza. You know, the little pizza table
Yeah.
that holds the lid.
Oh, kinda, yeah. I can
You have
see
to
it.
bend it together, maybe. I don't know that the Canadarm would be able to grapple a pizza plate,
I mean,
pizza table.
has this been tested?
I don't know.
We
There's
should-
one way to find out.
We should test this.
That we'll put one up on CRS-29.
All right, cool. Sounds good.
Nice. We'll have to get in touch with NASA on that.
So yeah, what the pizza box holder thing on the center of that dinner plate is that is the locator point for the latching end effector on the ISS. Basically, what NASA does, they need to get that grapple point centered from the remote manipulator, right? It needs to get centered on that dinner plate so it can grab it. That guide pin in the center is what they do. They basically wrap a steel cable around it, and that gets it to center
Yeah.
on the plate, and then they grab the plate and pull the module out.
All right. Y'all, we have a bit of a treat for you here today. We still have the views of Dragon. I don't know how much longer NASA's going to be sending me this feed of Dragon going away from the second stage. Of course, briefly, I showed my favorite view on launch day. It's the empty launch pad. You can see the transporter erector there leaning back to its launch position, but no rocket on the pad because we just got to see it go to space. Good times. But we have a special thing for you. You know, we do our weekly Starbase updates, right? Where we update you, we actually explain a narrated video what's been going on at Starbase. And if you have burning questions about when the next Starship launch may be, have they fixed the OLM, the orbital launch mount yet? Where are they at with that? Are we going to get Ship 25 static fires coming up? That video is set to release at the very end of this stream. And the NSF folks are going to be there in chat hanging out with you and explaining and chatting about the video. So that video comes out in literally 3 minutes. So I should probably start saying thank you here. Did we miss any store messages or anything? Jim, we appreciate you there. It looks like Jim might have got one of those metal prints we were talking
lightning
about.
one, I believe. Yeah.
Yeah, the lightning one. There it is. And we've got James as well saying, love this shot. Thanks for fighting for it, Doss. James, there you go. And then Flawed Perspective with some Canadian dollars. Fun for Fight Plasma with Fire merch design. And thanks for the feed.
Yeah, baby.
Love it.
Love it. All right. Good deal. So, folks, that is going to bring us to the end of our live coverage. CRS-28, the spacecraft on its way to the International Space Station, looking good. The empty launch pad over there showing us we got to see a rocket launch, but not done giving you stuff to watch here on YouTube. I guess this is just going to be on YouTube. We are going to send you over to that latest Starbase update video with Jack, everybody's favorite bacon lover. I guess, right? On the stream today, I'm doing it fast. It's EJ. EJ, thank you so much for joining us. We appreciate you, dude.
Thank you very much for having me. It's been a privilege.
All right. Hope to hear you on some more streams.
Let's hope.
Hi to Twitch chat as well. EJ's Twitch chat over there. Hope you all are doing well. I guess my Twitch chat as well. Sawyer Rosenstein, too. Sawyer, thanks so much for holding it down today.
Absolutely. You know I love these launches, especially Falcon Heavy, any launch. So
Oh,
great to be
launch.
with you.
All right. Also out in the field operating cameras for us was Max Evans. Max didn't have Max on comms today, but always out there making sure we have feeds and tracks and all that sort of stuff for us. Massive thanks to Max. Find him over on Twitter @_MGDE with an underscore after it. Maybe get that link in chat. And then lastly, my name is John Galloway for NASA Spaceflight. Thanks so much for joining us today. Hope you learned something. Hope you got some questions asked or answered. And if you did ask a question that we weren't able to get to, please just know we can't always get to them all. We do try to answer as much as we can. But we appreciate you being here and making this possible. Thanks for all the super chats and the folks doing merch from the store and all that sort of stuff. We could not keep this coverage coming without y'all here to support us. But even if it's not financial, even if you're just here liking the stream or putting a thumbs up on it or whatever, subscribing to the channel, retweeting a tweet or something like that, however it is that you support what we do, we appreciate you. I am going to now send you over to the premiere of this week's Starbase update with Jack, getting you caught up on when we can expect a Starship S-25 static fire and potentially when we're going to see a booster roll out to the pad over there at Starbase. But as always, thanks so much for being here, folks, and we will see you nerds later. So I'm going to roll the music, then there'll be more music over on the other thing. We like music. Here we go.
And here we go. We have liftoff.
Propulsion continues to be nominal.
RS-68 chamber pressure looks good.
Doubling up. Roger, roger, planet.
Water towers fly! Yes! Tango down to nominal.
Flight downside SPD off. Bring in SPD off. It's orange!
Oh my god! Oh my god!
Décollage! Put that in the big bag,
343 unfolds to go.
Indeed.
We rise together back to the moon and beyond.
The methane will be igniting in the flare, correct?
Yikes. You dead? Sure. We don't need any more of these.